Imagine a world where billion-dollar empires stretch across continents, where fortunes built in Manila now feed millions in the Arizona desert, where the taste of home travels 8,000 miles across the Pacific to land on your plate in the Valley of the Sun. This is the world of Filipino business dynasties, families whose wealth doesn't stop at Philippine borders, but reaches out across oceans to plant flags in America's fastest growing cities. And one of those cities? Phoenix, Arizona? You might not expect it. Phoenix, with its copper sunsets, its sprawling suburbs, its saguaro cacti standing like sentinels in the Sonoran Desert. But look closer, and you'll discover something remarkable. Filipino billionaire families have quietly claimed this territory. Their restaurant chains dot the valley. Their coffee brands fuel morning commutes in Scottsdale. Their burger joints serve hungry families from Chandler to Tempe. But who are these Filipino tycoons whose empires have reached Arizona? Which dynasties have made the biggest mark on the Phoenix metropolitan area? And which family sits at the very top, controlling more locations, employing more workers, and serving more customers than any other Filipino fortune in the valley? Today, we're counting down the 10 richest Filipino families and individuals with verified connections to Phoenix, Arizona. We'll explore the colossal empires they built back home, trace how their businesses crossed the Pacific, and reveal the exact footprint they've established in the desert. From airline moguls whose flights connect Manila to Sky Harbor International, to spirits tycoons whose brandy sits on Phoenix liquor store shelves, to fast food emperors who opened their first Arizona location to lines that wrapped around the block. These are the Filipino fortunes that have reshaped the Valley of the Sun. Combined, these 10 families control over $50 billion in wealth. Their Phoenix connections range from direct operations to supply chains, from flight routes to retail distribution. Some have planted their flags boldly, with storefronts bearing their names across the metro area. Others have woven their influence more subtly into the fabric of Arizona commerce. Stick around to see which Filipino dynasty has claimed the #1 spot in Phoenix, operating not one, not two, but 3 major brands across more than 20 locations in the metropolitan area. The answer will surprise you. Let's begin the countdown. Kicking off our list is a family whose name you won't find on any Phoenix storefront, whose logo doesn't appear on any Arizona billboard, and whose influence operates entirely beneath the surface of everyday commerce. Yet the Abates family touches Phoenix in ways that most residents will never see or understand. The Abates empire traces its origins to Spain's Basque region, where a young man named Paulino Abates made a decision that would shape Philippine commerce for the next century and beyond. In the late 1800s, Paulino immigrated to the Philippines and established a simple trading business in Cebu City. He bought goods, he sold goods, he moved things from one place to another. It was modest work, but it was the foundation of something much larger. From that humble trading post, the Abates family built an empire that now spans power generation, banking, food manufacturing, and logistics. Their flagship company, Abates Equity Ventures, trades on the Philippine Stock Exchange and manages interests across multiple critical sectors of the Philippine economy. Their power generation arm operates plants with over 4,000 megawatts of capacity, lighting homes and powering factories across the archipelago. Their banking arm, Union Bank of the Philippines, serves millions of customers with financial services that range from basic savings accounts to complex corporate lending. But it's the logistics business that connects them to Phoenix. The family's 2GO group operates one of Southeast Asia's largest supply chain networks, moving goods through shipping routes, warehouse facilities, and freight forwarding services that stretch from Philippine factories to American consumers. Every time Filipino products reach Arizona shelves, there's a chance the Aboitiz network played a role in that journey. The snacks in Filipino grocery stores, the components in electronic devices, the materials that feed Arizona's manufacturing sector. All of it moves through global supply chains that the Aboitiz family helped build. Today, Aramon Aboitiz serves as CEO of the conglomerate, steering an empire that his ancestors could never have imagined when they started that simple trading post in Cebu over a century ago. The family's combined net worth sits at approximately $2.2 billion according to Forbes. Their reach is invisible but pervasive. Their influence measured not in storefronts, but in shipping containers and freight manifests. The Aboitiz family represents old money with modern reach, a fortune built on the timeless business of moving things from one place to another, including to the desert cities of Arizona. But if the Aboitiz family moves goods, our next family builds the places where those goods are stored, sold, and consumed. Coming in at number 9 is a dynasty that literally constructed the Philippines. The late David M. Consunji earned a title that few businessmen ever achieve. They called him the Master Builder, and the name was not given lightly. His construction company erected many of the Philippines' most iconic structures, including the Philippine International Convention Center, a landmark that has hosted world leaders, international summits, and historic gatherings for decades. When Filipinos look at their nation's skyline, they see David Consunji's legacy in steel and concrete. He founded DM Consunji Incorporated in 1954 and transformed it into DMCI Holdings, a conglomerate that now spans construction, real estate, mining, and power generation. His children, including Isidro Consunji and his siblings, continue the legacy today. The family's combined net worth stands at approximately $3.7 billion, according to Forbes, built on foundations both literal and figurative. So what connects this construction dynasty to Phoenix? The answer lies in innovation and knowledge transfer. DMCI's prefabricated construction techniques and building methodologies have been featured at international engineering conferences, including events at Arizona State University's Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. As Phoenix developers face labor shortages and seek faster, more efficient construction methods, the techniques pioneered by the Consunji family offer solutions that have been studied and discussed in Arizona's construction community. The family also operates Semirara Mining, one of the Philippines' largest coal producers. That energy-powered manufacturing facilities producing goods that eventually reached American markets, including Arizona, creating another thread in the web of connection between Filipino industry and Southwest commerce. The Consunji family didn't open a business in Phoenix, but their ideas, their innovations, and their construction philosophies have traveled across the Pacific to influence how America builds. That's a different kind of empire, one measured not in storefronts, but in engineering papers, conference presentations, and the slow spread of building techniques across continents. From families that build and families that ship, we turn now to a family that feeds. At number 8, we have a dynasty whose products you might have tasted without even knowing it. The late John Gokongwei Jr. was born in Xiamen, China, and immigrated to the Philippines as a child. When war came, he survived by trading corn, learning the basics of commerce under the most desperate circumstances imaginable. From those wartime beginnings, he built JG Summit Holdings into one of the largest and most diversified conglomerates in the Philippines. Today, his son Lance Gokongwei and siblings lead the empire. The family's combined net worth sits at approximately $1.8 billion, according to Forbes. But here's what matters for Phoenix. The Gokongwei family owns Universal Robina Corporation, one of Asia's largest snack food companies, and URC products are distributed to Asian grocery stores throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area. Walk into Seafood City in Chandler or Island Pacific in Mesa. browse the aisles of any Filipino sari-sari store in Tempe or Glendale. You'll find Jack and Jill Chippy corn chips, Jack and Jill Piatos potato crisps, C2 green tea beverages, Cloud9 chocolate bars. Every time a Filipino family in Phoenix opens a bag of those chips at a backyard fiesta, every time a grandmother sips C2 tea while video calling relatives in Manila, they're consuming products from the Gokongwei Empire. The family also owns Cebu Pacific, the budget airline that transformed Philippine air travel and connects, through partner carriers, to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. From snacks on shelves to flights in the sky, the Gokongwei family's reach extends far beyond Manila. In Phoenix, their presence is subtle but tangible, measured in every crinkle of a chip bag, every sip of tea, every familiar taste that reminds Filipino families of home. But familiar tastes are just the beginning. Our next entries bring connections that are far more direct. Moving to number 7, we encounter a family whose connection to Phoenix is written not in storefronts or shipping manifests, but in flight paths across the Pacific sky. The Lucio Tan family built their fortune through tobacco, banking, and aviation, and it's that final pillar that bridges Manila to the Valley of the Sun. Lucio Tan Sr. rose from poverty in Fujian, China, to become one of the Philippines' most prominent and most reclusive tycoons. He rarely grants interviews, he avoids public appearances, he lets his empire speak for itself. And what an empire it is! Fortune Tobacco made him wealthy. Philippine National Bank made him powerful. But Philippine Airlines made him legendary. Philippine Airlines isn't just another carrier. Founded in 1941, it holds the distinction of being the first commercial airline in Asia. The flag carrier of the Philippines, a symbol of national pride that has connected the Filipino diaspora to their homeland for more than 8 decades. Today, under the continued leadership of the Tan family, that mission of connection extends across the globe, including to Phoenix. Here's the connection that earns the Tan family a spot on our countdown. Philippine Airlines offers flight routes connecting Manila to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. These aren't direct flights, but PAL provides seamless booking from Manila to Phoenix through partner carriers, with routing typically through Los Angeles or San Francisco. Fares start at approximately $830 round trip, putting the journey home within reach for working Filipino families. For the thousands of Filipinos living in Phoenix, this matters deeply. Many travel home for Christmas, squeezing vacation days to maximize time with family. Others fly back for weddings, baptisms, graduations, and funerals, the milestones that define family life across any culture. Philippine Airlines represents more than transportation for these travelers. It represents the bridge between their American present and their Philippine past, between the lives they've built in Arizona and the roots they've maintained across the ocean. The Tan family's fortune, estimated at $3.2 billion according to Forbes, extends beyond aviation. They also own Tanduay Distillers, which holds an extraordinary distinction as the world's largest producer of rum by volume. Tanduay products are distributed to Arizona liquor stores, adding another thread to the family's Phoenix connection. Lucio Tan's story embodies immigrant perseverance, arriving in the Philippines with nothing, building a tobacco empire through relentless work, then expanding into airlines, banking, and spirits. His reclusive nature only adds to the mystique surrounding one of the Philippines' most powerful business figures. He built quietly, he accumulated steadily, and his family's legacy now stretches from Manila to Phoenix, measured in boarding passes and family reunions made possible across 8,000 miles of Pacific Ocean. But if the Lucio Tan family connects Phoenix to the Philippines through the sky, our next entry connects it through something far more grounded. At number 6, we have a different Tan entirely, no relation to Lucio, whose empire flows not through airplanes but through bottles. Andrew Tan built his fortune through Mega World Corporation, pioneering what Filipinos call the township concept in real estate development. Eastwood City, Newport City, McKinley Hill. These massive mixed-use developments transformed how Filipinos live, work, shop, and play, combining residential towers with office buildings, shopping centers, and entertainment venues in self-contained urban ecosystems. But for our Phoenix purposes, what matters is his other company, Emperador Incorporated. Emperador is the world's largest brandy company by volume. Not the largest in Asia, not the largest in Southeast Asia, the largest in the world. Let that distinction settle for a moment. A Filipino company, founded and controlled by a Filipino billionaire, dominates global brandy production. And Andrew Tan didn't stop there. In 2014, he acquired White and Mackay, the Scottish whiskey producer, for $730 million. With that single acquisition, he added premium Scotch brands to his portfolio, including the Dalmore and Jura Single Malt. Now, here's where Phoenix enters the picture. Emperador-owned products are distributed and sold throughout Arizona. Walk into a Total Wine and More location in Phoenix, Scottsdale, or Chandler. Browse the spirits section. You'll find Fundador Spanish brandy on the shelf, owned by Emperador. You'll find the Dalmore Scotch whiskey, owned by Emperador. You'll find Jura Single Malt, owned by Emperador. When Phoenix residents pour a glass of Fundador after dinner, they're purchasing from Andrew Tan's empire. When they gift a bottle of Dalmore for the holidays, the profits flow back to a Filipino conglomerate. When they celebrate special occasions with premium Scotch, they're participating in a global spirits network controlled from Manila. The family's net worth sits at approximately $1.65 billion, according to Forbes. Andrew Tan also operates Resorts World Manila through Travelers International and holds the McDonald's Philippines franchise through Golden Arches Development Corporation. His business interests span continents and industries, from luxury condominiums in Manila to whiskey distilleries in Scotland to liquor store shelves in Phoenix. Andrew Tan's journey reflects a different kind of Filipino success. Unlike families who inherited their positions, Tan built Alliance Global Group from scratch, starting with real estate and expanding through bold acquisitions. His purchase of White and Mackay wasn't just a business transaction. It was a declaration that Filipino companies could compete on the world stage, acquiring century-old Scottish brands and integrating them into Asian-led conglomerates. In Phoenix, that global ambition manifests in glass bottles. Filipino capital flowing through Arizona commerce, one pour at a time. We're only halfway through our countdown, and already we've covered logistics networks, construction innovations, snack food distribution, airline routes, and spirits flowing from Scottish distilleries to Arizona liquor stores. These first 5 families demonstrate something profound about modern Filipino wealth. It doesn't stay home. It travels, it connects, it reaches across 8,000 miles of Pacific Ocean to touch cities like Phoenix in ways that most people never notice or consider. But the connections we've seen so far remain relatively indirect. Flights and products and supply chains. What would it take for a Filipino family to truly dominate a market like Phoenix? What if they didn't just ship products to Arizona or fly passengers through Sky Harbor? What if they actually opened businesses here, with their names on the door and their employees serving customers? That's exactly what's coming. The wealth and power we're about to encounter operates on another level entirely. You won't want to miss who's in our top 5. Now, back to the countdown. Breaking into our top 5 with a staggering leap in wealth and influence, we encounter Enrique Razon Jr., the second richest person in the Philippines according to Forbes, with a net worth of $11.5 billion. That figure alone demands attention. But what earns Razan a place on our countdown is something even more remarkable. His company once operated directly on American soil. Enrique Razon Jr. is a portsman. His father operated terminals in Manila, and Enrique took that foundation and built it into something his predecessors could never have imagined. International Container Terminal Services Incorporated, known as ICTSI, now operates over 32 container terminals across 19 countries spanning 5 continents. From Argentina to Australia, from Poland to Pakistan, Razan's cranes lift cargo and his workers move the goods that fuel global commerce. But the crown jewel of Razan's American ambitions was Terminal 6 at the Port of Portland in Oregon. From 2011 to 2017, ICTSI Oregon, a wholly owned subsidiary of Razan's empire, operated that terminal. This was not a partnership. This was not a distribution agreement. This was direct ownership and operation of American port infrastructure by a Filipino company. The only such arrangement in the entire United States. Consider what that means. Container ships from Asia would arrive at Portland's Terminal 6. Filipino-owned cranes would lift cargo from Filipino-managed vessels. Filipino-directed workers would process goods destined for American markets. And some of that cargo, traveling by rail and truck through the Pacific Northwest distribution network, would eventually reach Phoenix warehouses, Phoenix retail stores, Phoenix homes. For 6 years, Enrique Razon's empire had a physical, tangible, operational presence in America. The connection to Phoenix wasn't theoretical or indirect. It was concrete. Goods that passed through his Portland terminal fed the supply chains that served the American Southwest. The Portland operation ended in March 2017, following labor disputes with the International Longshore and Warehouse Union. ICTSI paid $11.45 million in compensation to the Port of Portland and returned the terminal. The American chapter closed, but the legacy remains significant. A Filipino billionaire operated on American soil, processing cargo that reached Arizona consumers. Today, Razan's influence on American commerce continues through different channels. ICTSI's Cantacon Manzanillo terminal in Mexico handles goods entering the United States through southwestern trade routes. The pathway has shifted, but the connection persists. Beyond ports, Razon's empire encompasses Bloomberry Resorts, which operates the massive Solaire Resort and Casino in Manila. He controls Manila Water Company, serving over 7 million residents in Metro Manila's East Zone. His prime infrastructure arm focuses on renewable energy and sustainable development. His wealth has grown dramatically in recent years, reflecting both shrewd acquisitions and the explosive growth of Asian trade. Enrique Razon Jr. represents infrastructure connection at its most direct. Not products on shelves or flights in the sky, but the actual machinery of global commerce, the cranes, the terminals, the systems that move goods from factory floors to consumer hands. For 6 years, that machinery operated under Filipino ownership on American territory, feeding supply chains that reached all the way to the Valley of the Sun. From a man who moves goods across oceans, we turn now to a family that builds the homes where those goods ultimately reside. At number 4, we have a true rags to riches story that stretches from the poorest streets of Manila to the boardrooms of American consulting giants. Manny Villar's origin story sounds like fiction. He grew up in Tondo, one of Manila's most impoverished districts, selling shrimp and fish in the streets to help his family survive. He worked his way through school, studied business, and founded Camella Homes in the 1970s. That single venture grew into Vistaland and Lifescapes, now the largest home builder in the Philippines, with over 3,000 hectares of land bank and developments, serving Filipinos at every income level. Villar also pursued public service with the same relentless ambition. He served as senator, as Senate president, and as Speaker of the House of Representatives. His wife Cynthia currently serves as senator. The family's combined net worth stands at approximately $11 billion according to Forbes, making them one of the wealthiest dynasties in Philippine history. But what connects this construction empire to Phoenix? The answer lies in knowledge transfer across the Pacific, embodied in one person, Manuel Paulo Villar, the eldest son of Manny Villar, graduated from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 1999. Wharton is not merely prestigious, it is the temple of American business education, producing executives who shape global commerce. But Manuel Paulo didn't return immediately to the Philippines after graduation. Instead, he joined McKinsey & Company, the gold standard of management consulting, and worked in their United States offices from 1999 to 2001. McKinsey's methodologies are legendary: data-driven analysis, strategic frameworks, operational discipline. The consultants who train there learn to dissect businesses, identify inefficiencies, and implement solutions with surgical precision. Manuel Paulo absorbed those skills in American boardrooms, working alongside the sharpest minds in global consulting. When he returned to the Philippines, he applied that American training to Vista Land's operations. He became chief financial officer, spearheading the company's public listing on the Philippine Stock Exchange. In July 2011, he was elected president and CEO. The company's explosive growth coincided with his leadership, transforming from a successful home builder into a diversified conglomerate worth billions. The Villar Empire was forged in Manila's streets by a man who sold fish to survive. But it was sharpened in American boardrooms by a son who learned the frameworks of modern business management. McKinsey's discipline, absorbed partly in the United States, helped transform a Philippine housing company into one of Asia's largest real estate developers. Today, Vista Land builds entire townships, self-contained communities with schools, hospitals, malls, and offices. These developments echo American master plan communities like those found throughout Arizona. The knowledge flowed both ways: American ideas influencing Philippine development, Philippine success validating American business education. We've now entered territory where the fortunes are measured in tens of billions, and the connections grow ever more significant. But our top 3 entries will reveal something even more remarkable: direct presence, undeniable impact, Filipino names on American doors. Entering the top 3, we arrive at a name that needs no introduction: Emmanuel Dapadron Pacquiao. Pac-Man, the people's champ, the only boxer in history to win world titles in 8 different weight divisions. With a career record of 62 wins, 8 losses, and 2 draws, including 39 knockouts, Manny Pacquiao transcended his sport to become a global icon, a Philippine senator, and a 2022 presidential candidate. His estimated net worth sits at $220 million. Career earnings from fight purses alone exceeded $500 million. But what connects the greatest Filipino athlete of all time to Phoenix, Arizona? The answer is measured in passion, in pilgrimage, and in community. Manny Pacquiao fought many of his legendary bouts at MGM Grand in Las Vegas, just 5 hours by car from Phoenix. For those fights, thousands of Filipino Americans from Arizona made the desert drive to watch their hero in person. Charter buses, organized by community groups, departed from Phoenix parking lots. Convoys of families wearing Pacquiao shirts crossed the Mojave. Philippine flags waved in the Nevada night as Filipino pride swelled with every punch their champion threw. Back home in Phoenix, the community gathered. The Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Arizona organized viewing parties for major Pacquiao fights. Filipino restaurants throughout the valley hosted fight nights, packed with fans cheering in Tagalog as Pac-Man dismantled opponents on screens across the city. Sports bars in Chandler and Mesa saw their Filipino clientele surge whenever the People's Champ stepped into the ring. Pacquiao's training base at Wildcard Boxing Club in Hollywood placed him firmly within the American Southwest orbit. His presence in Los Angeles made him accessible to Arizona's Filipino community in ways that Manila-based celebrities could never achieve. He was close, he was reachable, he was theirs. Every combination Pacquiao landed generated revenue measured in millions. But his legend generated something money cannot purchase: a sense of shared identity for Filipino Americans across the Southwest, pride in Philippine excellence on the world stage, connection to homeland through a champion who carried their flag into battle. From a champion who united Filipino hearts, we turn to the family that built the largest business empire in Philippine history. Our runner-up controls more wealth than any other Filipino dynasty. The Sy siblings inherited a fortune that began with 10 centavos and grew into nearly $12 billion. Henry Sy Sr. arrived in Manila from China with almost nothing. He worked in his father's sari-sari store, survived the devastation of World War II, and in 1958 opened a small shoe store he called Shoe Mart. SEM. From that single humble shop, Henry Sy and his family built a sprawling conglomerate that became one of the largest in Southeast Asia. SM Investments controls the biggest mall operator in the Philippines, the largest bank in BDO Unibank, and a massive portfolio spanning retail stores, supermarkets, hotels, and real estate developments. When Henry Sy died in 2019 at age 94, Forbes listed his net worth at $19 billion. Today, his 6 children, Teresita, Elizabeth, Henry Jr., Hans, Herbert, and Harley, collectively control approximately $11.8 billion and continue expanding the empire their father built. The Phoenix connection reaches back to 1955 and changed everything that followed. That year, Henry Sy traveled to the United States to study American retail operations. He visited shopping centers and department stores across the country, observing how Americans shopped, how malls were designed, how retail could transform into entertainment and community gathering. He returned to the Philippines with a revolutionary vision: enclosed, air-conditioned shopping malls that would reshape how Filipinos live. In 1985, SM City North EDSA opened, inspired directly by that American journey, and became one of the largest shopping malls in the world. American mall culture gave Henry Sy his vision. Phoenix's own retail landscape represents that same evolution. The SM empire traces its conceptual origins to what Henry Sy witnessed in America 7 decades ago. The richest Filipino family built their fortune on an American dream that crossed the Pacific and became Philippine reality. And now, for the #1 spot. While every family on this list maintains connections to Phoenix through supply chains, distribution networks, flights, or inspiration, one family did something fundamentally different. They didn't just reach Phoenix, they claimed it. Tony Tan Cactiong was born in 1953 in Davao del Sur. His parents had immigrated from Fujian, China. As a child, Tony worked as a dishwasher in his father's restaurant. At 22, he opened 2 Magnolia ice cream parlors in Manila. When customers demanded hot food, he adapted: burgers, fried chicken, spaghetti. By 1978, Jollibee was born. When McDonald's entered the Philippines in 1981, Tony faced a choice: surrender or fight. He chose to fight. He flew to America to study his competition, then returned to create a menu adapted to Filipino tastes. The result was unprecedented. Jollibee became the only local fast food chain to defeat McDonald's in its home market. Today, Jollibee operates over 1,150 Philippine locations versus McDonald's 650. But Tony Tan Cactiong conquered far beyond the Philippines, and Phoenix became part of his empire. On December 28, 2019, Jollibee opened its first Arizona location in Chandler. Fans camped outside starting Christmas Day. Lines wrapped around the block. The first 50 customers received free Chicken Joy for an entire year. That was just the beginning. Jollibee Foods Corporation acquired Smashburger, the Denver-based burger chain, achieving 100% ownership by 2018. Smashburger operates at least 15 locations throughout Phoenix. From Bell Road to Baseline, from Camelback to Sky Harbor Airport. In 2019, the corporation acquired the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf for $350 million. At least 7 Coffee Bean locations now operate across Phoenix, including the Biltmore store that opened in November 2023. 23 locations, 3 major brands, 1 Filipino family. No other dynasty on this list comes close. The Tsai siblings control more total wealth, but operate no Phoenix storefronts. Manny Pacquiao commands greater fame, but employs no Phoenix workers. Enrique Razon once operated American ports, but exited in 2017. Tony Tan Caktiong's empire operates right now, today, across the Valley of the Sun. His employees serve Phoenix customers. His restaurants feed Phoenix families. His brands occupy Phoenix streets. The richest Filipino family in Phoenix is the Tan Caktiong dynasty, and they are just getting started. We've traveled through an extraordinary countdown, 10 Filipino families and individuals whose wealth has reached across the Pacific Ocean to touch Phoenix, Arizona in ways both subtle and profound. From the Abitiz logistics networks moving goods through global supply chains, to the Kansunji construction innovations studied at Arizona State University, from Jack and Jill snacks on Filipino grocery shelves, to Philippine Airlines flights carrying families home for the holidays. From Emperador spirits poured at Phoenix dinner parties, to a ports empire that once operated directly on American soil. From American consulting knowledge that built the Philippines' largest home builder, to a boxing legend who united Filipino communities across the Southwest. From the richest family in the Philippines, whose empire was inspired by an American trip in 1955, to our clear number 1, Tony Tan Caktiong, the Jollibee Empire. 23 locations across Phoenix through 3 iconic brands, Jollibee, Smashburger, and the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. Combined, the families on this list control over $50 billion in wealth. Their Phoenix connections demonstrate something remarkable about the modern global economy. Borders are porous for capital, brands travel faster than people, and a family that started selling ice cream in Manila can end up feeding millions in the Arizona desert. What does it mean for Phoenix? It means Filipino influence is woven into the city's commercial fabric in ways most residents never consider. The burger you ate for lunch might be owned by a Filipino billionaire. The coffee you drank this morning might flow back to a Manila conglomerate. The snacks at your local Asian grocery store might represent a fortune built over 3 generations. Filipino business dynasties aren't just staying home anymore. They're expanding, acquiring, and planting flags across the globe. Phoenix is just one city on their map, but it's a city where their presence is undeniable. And the story isn't over. Jollibee Foods Corporation has announced aggressive U.S. expansion plans. More Phoenix locations are likely coming. Other Filipino brands, Red Ribbon Bake Shop, Chowking, could follow. The Valley of the Sun may be known for its copper sunsets and its saguaro cacti. But increasingly, it's also known for something else. A place where Filipino fortunes have found a home. The richest Filipino family in Phoenix? It's the Tan Caktiong dynasty, and they're just getting started. If this countdown surprised you, hit that subscribe button. Because there's always another fortune to explore, another empire stretching across the Pacific. Until next time.